That took longer than expected. Oh, you're wondering what? Well, I got in a little trouble with the powers that be and was stopped doing community torture service for 3 months. They made me walk back here. From hell, I shit you not. My feet feels like someone took up a heated potato masher and whacked at them repeatedly. I can barely move them. Anyways, I finally get to work on this series again. Now what would have pleased the channel, general horror community? What do they like? Sex, gore, nudity, aha! To fully understand a film like Hatchet, you should probably understand the slasher subgenre of horror films, the origin of which is much debated, most saying either Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho or John Carpenter's Halloween being the main influences of this subgenre. Although I'd like to point out that I've seen influences going as far back as the 1950s, with flicks like the first House of Wax remake and the movie called The Bat, extending from a fatigue of the monster movies of the 1950s, leading audiences to want a more realistic horror to scare them, coupled with the newfound exploration era of cinema, gave birth to the films with a lot of sex, gore, nudity, disturbing themes, and a human or human-like killer. So usually from a supposed urban myth, these would be known as slashers. During the 1980s, the slasher movies overtook horror and were everywhere due to the cheap cost to make them and the numbers they'd bring in. This craze is what led to most of the horror movie cliches we know of today, and the reason the horror film really began to lose credibility as a respectable work. Despite the first few slashers being well-made and original, they died down around the 1990s when filmgoers got bored with the concept, the exception being the pseudo-satire horror mystery Scream. During the early 2000s, film companies started to try to remake/reboot/sequelize their slasher properties. I personally feel the Scream of this era was the 2006 movie Hatchet, directed by Adam Green. The flick is about tourists in New Orleans taking a haunted swamp tour. That's an understatement, as they fight for their lives against a deformed, undead homicidal maniac named Victor Crowley. The characters you're supposed to care about, meaning the ones that don't get horribly dismembered, at least for a while, are Ben, Marcus, and Mary Beth. Starting in Mardi Gras, Ben, who isn't interested in the drunken spectacle of the party, decides he wants to go on a local swamp tour. He convinces his friend Marcus to join him, although reluctantly so. There they find the way to the building that offers the tour, where we see 2 porn stars making out topless. I wasn't kidding about the nudity. And their director. They're here because they want to make a porno on a swamp tour. Why? Because the director wanted to make teenage boys see his movie. That's why. We cut to them taking a bus to the boat destination, where we meet our other characters. During the ride, Ben sits beside an antisocial woman on the bus named Mary Beth. Ben tries to flirt with her, I think. In any case, she basically just tells him to shut his mouth and ignores him. Stuck-up prick. The tour guide, which is affectionately described as Enter the Song of the South, an Asian man putting on a very strong, shall we say, Cajun accent, who isn't exactly knowledgeable about his apparent hometown. Once on the tour boat, this film's harbinger warns them of a danger in the swamp. They ignore him, writing him off as crazy. Granted, he was drinking his own piss, so... During the ride, we see the start of discourse among the swamp goers, mainly the passengers contradicting the tour guide. Among these contradictions are those about the spook of this swamp, Victor Crowley. A jump scare occurs, leading to our characters being capsized on the shore. While trying to escape the sinking boat, an old man gets his foot crunched on by an alligator. Mary Beth pulls out a handgun and blows its brains out. The man is alive, but probably isn't going to be living his dream as a ballerina anytime soon. All marooned, they all argue and bicker about what to do. Why Mary Beth had a gun or where to go. She explained she brought a gun because her father and brother went missing in the swamp, and she worried something or someone might be responsible. Among the chaos, Mary Beth tells the real story of the Crowleys. Victor Crowley was a child with a birth defect, to say the least, and was raised by a single father. His daddy loved Victor very much, trying to keep him safe from the outside world. The other children weren't exactly Victor's biggest fans. One Halloween, while trying to smoke Victor out of his house with firecrackers, they set the Crowley house on fire and ran like hell, leaving little Crowley trapped in the burning house. His father rushes in to save his little bundle of extra chromosomes. He takes a hatchet and starts to cut down a door, only to hit his son in the face with it, who pressed up against the door. Irony is pretty ironic, ain't it? After these acts, Victor's ghost was said to roam the swamp seeking for revenge. The others ask her for proof, and she points to an abandoned building about 30 feet away, saying it's the Crowley house. The old man and his wife want to get out of here as soon as possible, due to the ladder's foot. The only issue being the nearest way out is past the Crowley building. The others, not wanting to go anywhere near the structure, lead the couple to heading towards the house by themselves, while the others look on. And what a surprise, a pissed-off, full-grown Victor Crowley opens the door and runs at them, hatchet in hand. He catches the old man first, cutting him in half, starting at the shoulder. He chases the woman down and King Kongs her ass. Mary Beth shoots the blood-drenched psycho. He falls down and the whole group runs off in terror. Why not just shoot the crap out of him to make sure he's dead? Slasher movie, ladies and gentlemen. Marcus, who ran up a tree, sees city lights, letting the group know which way to go. When we find out that there's a missing member, the porno director, who during his frantic sprint runs right into Victor. Let's just say he's screwed. The rest of the group, unaware of this death, start freaking bickering again, leading to Marcus and the guide to fight. After the scuffle, they start walking again, only to realize that they've been going in circles. They end up at the Crowley house again, where they search it for weapons. Once inside, Mary Beth screams as she finds the mutilated corpses of her brother and father. Happens to all of us. Once outside, the group is once again met with the mad swamp man. He grabs one of the porn stars, giving her the last facial of her life with a belt sander. He then decapitates the guide with a shovel and runs the end of the shovel through the still living girl, leaving Ben, Marcus, and Mary Beth as they run through the woods. It doesn't take long for Crowley to find them again. He picks off the other porn girl along the way. Ben has the idea of lighting Crowley on fire as a way of stopping him for good. This actually works out for them, with Victor being lit by flame until good old Mother Nature says bite me and made it rain. As they run away yet again, they end up in a cemetery. How convenient. Victor pops up again and grabs Marcus, ripping his arms off, grabbing him by the legs and smashing his head into a tombstone. So beautiful. Ben and Mary Beth try to escape. Ben has an iron rod thrown into his foot by Crowley. The madman screams and yells, running after them. Ben starts to pull the rod down with the help of Mary Beth. Victor then runs straight through the rod, impaling himself, giving them time to get away. Our last two victims, characters, escape on a rowboat they find. Suddenly Mary Beth is pushed into the water. As she swims back up towards the boat, she grabs Ben's hand, only to find it is Victor Crowley holding Ben's severed arm. And she screams, Crowley screams, credits. If you can see, this film had all the slasher movie tropes I mentioned to you before earlier. It's a very enjoyable movie, but not deep by any means. It's more meant to be a love letter to the fans. The campy nature of this film makes it almost a parody, but it holds back just enough to make it a horror film, first and foremost. Victor Crowley is played by Kane Hodder, an actor who's known for playing Jason Voorhees in a Friday the 13th series, which Hatchet was heavily inspired by. If you like gore, you're gonna like this movie. It's a good rip apart. That's the best way I can put it. If you enjoy the slasher movie genre, you'll enjoy this movie and probably get a few little chuckles along the way. Again. Hey, hello? Of course I like scary movies. What, do you know who I am? Alien, but that's besides the point. I'm really in the middle of something here right now. Listen, if you just give me 5 seconds, I can finish this. This is something I've been trying to start like a few months ago. Okay, what's wrong with you people? I hate you. Will you stop getting in the way of me doing this? This is my one thing. I don't understand why you people are trying to stop me from doing my one thing. It's what I was born to do. It's what I was created for. If you tell me to calm down again, I'll hunt you down and get you like a fish.